So we've done basically the hot process, and we're gonna leave it there at the stove until it simmers and it's ready. And the duration, so in essence, the longer it stays on, the more extraction it happens, but at the same time being cautious not to cook it, because just make it slow simmer, and you can still continue the process after you've removed it from the stove by letting it simmer outside the stove for a bit, but we'll get into that a bit later. So we're done with the hot process. What Arantza is going to get into right now is the cold method. She's going to start preparing the cold method. We're going to do a slightly different recipe right now. Are we still doing a topical oil, or is it, are we doing um
Well, because I like to use oils that you can eat. In fact,
oh yes.
you can use them for anything you need. You see,
Okay.
you can use it for eating. You can use it for your skin. I must say something. This is the Cayenne pepper, capsicum something. This is one of my key ingredients for ointments that I make for osteomuscular problems, arthritis, rheumatism, like when you hurt yourself, like exercising for warming up your muscles, because it has the power of heat. It has the
Mm.
power of it has the
The-
power of for your blood circulation. It has digesting properties as well. It's a very powerful herb as well, plant. Or fruit, I would say. This is like the fruit of the plant.
Just another fun fact that people did not know. So for if in winter, if you're a person who really doesn't like putting on layers and layers and layers of clothes, what you can do is that you can prepare a cayenne pepper essential oil, and you can just mix it with your lotion. It really keeps you warm in the middle of winter, and you don't really need to put in layers of clothes. As Aranza just said, it improves blood circulation, and as she just mentioned, it's a very good painkiller. So if you're a person who suffers from um, arthritis, if you combine the herb that Imphepho and cayenne pepper, you get a very good arthritis oil, and it also improves your blood circulation. Yay!
So, cayenne is a very strong plant or fruit, no? And it can have a reaction as well. How do they call it? It is one of the, sorry, technical names. It can cause a reaction. So there is people who can have sensitivity. I will not use it for the skin or anything like that, because it really gives a heat sensation. It has rubefaciente, so it has an effect on the skin.
Mm.
And so for me, it's therapeutic. And then, like you say, if you're a person that gets cold easily, when you eat hot food, your body is hot. You see, that's why some for when you do meditation, sometimes they don't suggest to eat very hot food, because you're gonna be sitting there and you're gonna be sweating. You're gonna be hot like fire.
Mm.
You see, so yeah. Um,
It's also good to remember that once the oil has been prepared, ideally you want to use small quantities, because this is a very potent herb. uh, you want to use, you don't go and put the whole spoon. A drop is enough. Trust me. A drop is enough.
um, for people who suffers with piles, to eat it maybe is not a good thing, to suggest, because it actually it rise the pressure, the blood pressure. So you will be suffering with it. And the spicy, the hot food, it makes your endorphins to rise. So it's good for to feel good as well, in a way. You see. What else? It stimulates the appetite, and it says that it stimulates as well the suprarenals. You see, Aumenta, it hides the adrenaline. And bueno, this is now, yeah, the adrenaline, aumenta niveles de endorfinas, yeah. So,
and it's also
okay,
good.
estimula the suprarrenal. So, estimula a thing in your body that it helps for to inhibit the hormones that creates pain. That's why it's a good analgesic, because inhibits, it stops the things that it creates the pain. So good. The one for muscle pain, analgesic. So we're gonna do the cold. The cold is, I guess, the ideal. Well, actually, it's ideal for some herbs. We can never talk about general, ¿vale? It's ideal for what we're doing now, and then you can research. I say, for oil extraction, it works good. Aromatic plants, yeah, with essential oils, because oil with oil blends well. It gets good. What other things sorry if I must check my notes. I get they're under pressure a bit. So essential, what is not good is for herbs that are bitter. For bitter herbs are not good. For essential aromatic herbs, it is good, but not for aromatic bitter. For plants that smell and then the taste is bitter, oil extraction apparently is not so good. Yeah? And then it's good for spicy, for hot spicy herbs, for resinos. Resina, which is what it comes out from trees, for example, when you cut the bark and then it like a bleed, like something that is very sticky, terpenos, triterpenos. So apparently for resinous plants as well. But anyways, we're gonna do the cold, which is, it needs time. The minimum time that you're gonna use is 2 weeks, okay? In the dark, with your oil, with dry herbs to make sure that they don't mold. And the ideal is that you move it and shake it every day. I've got here my Cayenne oils. The minimum is 14 days, 2 weeks, but this one I have it in olive oil since September. And this one since the end of October. I don't shake it every day because I'm sorry. I don't have the time to forget, and it becomes too much, but that's the ideal. Then you need to always try to get to the ideal, you know? But we know that sometimes if we really need to do the ideal, we never do something because it becomes too much. So always try to do the best, you know, with what you've got. So yeah, you shake it to make sure that the plant is in contact with all the oils, you know. You know what happened with this bottle? I've been using it, the oil, lately. I had to do ointments and I need use it. So I use a few spoons. That's why it's not covered. Otherwise, you need to make sure that it covers. The Cayenne oil, it will eventually, like most of herbs, it will eventually go to the bottom. As well, you need to remove it, you know, to make everything shakes, it extracts all the things. 2 weeks. What the book says, and as well the tradition, is like the 2 weeks or 40 days. I normally do minimum 40 days. At first I learned the 2 weeks, but then later the 40 days. And then sometimes I leave it for a long time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the sunflower oil. It's affordable. This one I bought it for the first time yesterday, because I used another one that was cheaper, but that's something that bothers me a little bit. It was that it was refined. It was refined with the decantation. It still was organic and it smells like really like the sunflower seed. So it was good. That's what I've been using. But then yesterday I found this one, which is, they say, virgin, like, you know, it's not refined. I guess because they do pressure with like the olive, I don't know. A little bit expensive, but I hope it's gonna be better quality.
So,
Yeah.
so just to add on what you just said with regards to sunflower oil, a lot of the times people tend to disregard sunflower oil. One of the things that Arantza pointed out a bit earlier on is that sunflower oil has vitamin E, which is a natural preservative. So ideally, when you want to keep your herb a bit longer, you would want to use sunflower oil as it lasts longer.
Yeah, but for example, I will never use sunflower oil for heat, for the warm process, because sunflower is not the oil that it can handle the heat easily. So even for cooking, it will be like that. For cooking, I don't really use it. Maybe for a salad, but I use olive oil. But yeah, for me, I used to regard. I used to, but no, I like it since I found out about it. It's affordable. I like it. In South Africa, in here is expensive and I don't use it. It's the grape seed, but in South Africa it's more affordable. And when I'm in South Africa, I would buy it to do as well all this practice. Those are oils that I would not use for heat, but we mentioned that when we prepared the call. So I bought, in that packet there was 100 grams that I bought. The lady didn't want to sell me the 100 grams. She was skeptical. Like I didn't know what I was buying. Like, why do you want so much chili? And I thought, hey, yes, I want 100. Spanish people don't eat hot food. In South Africa, I take Spanish people and Spanish-speaking Portuguese, Brazilian people around, yeah? And everybody, oh, no, spicy. And think that for South African taste is not spicy at all. My people would be like, oh, it's too much spices. So, but it's such a good thing, the spices. You see, so there is 100. Let's go take 50, that's what we need.
So as she's busy measuring, one of the fun facts is that cayenne pepper is one of the key ingredients for some flu remedies, natural flu remedies, one of them being fire cider. One day we'll actually, before we enter into winter, I think we should do a video where we show you how to prepare fire cider. So fire cider is a very good, it's a great alternative to us using, as opposed to using cough mixture. So yeah, one day we should, maybe I should actually make a note of that so that we actually remember to do that.
So I have 50 grams here. The first time I did this oil, I must say that I knew about Cayenne, but I didn't really use it. And it was in my first session of Ikhambi Natural Healing that I not talk about Cayenne pepper. And that gave me I was looking for the ingredient. I was missing an ingredient for my mix of the ointments that I told you I make. And I was missing the ingredient for my hot ointment and Cayenne. That was my blessing from that session. And I've been in all of them as much as I could. And, and thank you for this because it's very nice. So what we're going to do, I've done this for the last bottle of Cayenne that I mastered. I actually broke it a little bit. I break it a little bit with the thingy. I normally don't use this. I normally use this one, but because I work with the small quantities, and I don't have a big one. But I break it. So you can break it. Yeah. You can break it, and it's better. Yes. You break it, and then you're gonna pour it in your container. Because of time consuming, I'm not gonna break like as much as I would do it if I have the time. But as well, you can make it without breaking them. But I like to break them because then you have more contact of the plant with the oil. So you make it with oils that you can eat, and then you can use it in your salad, or when you need it, you take a spoon, you know, you eat it. How much we say we're gonna do? Actually, forgive me. 50. We're gonna do the medium, no medium. Sorry, where is my paper? We're gonna do the standard proportion of solvent, the oil, and the plant, the dry material. So we're gonna do the 1 point. Forgive me. The standard, the 2.5. So for 1 liter of the oil, 5 parts. So it's 200 grams. Vale, that's the standard. So I break it down, and for 250 mils, we use 50 grams. Yeah, I'm not talking rubbish. Yeah, 50 grams for 250 mils. So we have 50 grams of the Cayenne paper, and we need 250. Let me, where did I put my, there.
So I just wanted to take everybody back to the graph in terms of the measurement when she says 1 part. So 1 part is 10. That would means 50 liters for the strong. Am I correct in my analogy?
1 liter.
Yes.
200 grams of the plant will give you the standard proportion, potency level. So 1 liter is divided. So you know how I calculate this thing? This is something I learned in school in maths, and that's the most useful thing I learned in school. Let me do it in a paper where you can see. La regla de tres, the three thingy, the law of three. I don't know how you translate, because you actually learn math very differently. What it's like. I'm going to make it in paper. If you have 1 liter, which 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters, yeah? So we're going to write 1,000 mils. And then, so with 1,000 mils, we need 200 grams. See what I wrote? For 1,000 mils, I need 200 grams. Yeah? That's what I know. But now I know I want to use 250 mils. So I'm going to write under the 1,000 mils, I'm going to write the 250 mils, la luz. Here, ¿lo veis? Can you see? 1,000, but me, I have 250 mils. So how many herbs do I need? That's my question. That's what I don't know. So I'm going to do 250 mils by 200 grams dividido entre 1000. Then you can use this for many things in your life, this law. So I know that for 1,000 milliliters, I need 200 grams, but me, I have 250 mils. So I need X, I don't know. So I need, then you do this for this, this for this, and then you divide it by this. And it gives you what you need here. I'm gonna do it for you. Do you understand me? Sorry if I make it. Okay, and then what it gives me by doing this, do you understand what I'm doing?
Yes.
By doing 200, this plus this divided by this, then I get the X. I get my question. What is it, what I need? So I need 50 grams. You can do this at home with your time. Probably you learn this thing with a name or in a different way, but this is very helpful thing to find out things, actually.
Please do remember that this method is very general in its approach, and it cannot be used for all herbs. There are some herbs where you need to use them in small quantities, like your mint. Mint is very toxic, so you can't use it. You can't use large quantities of mint to prepare.
So
That is just an example. Sorry.
thank you. Because so I'm gonna measure the 250 mils that I need from this. This is 1 liter. The idea I want to buy a glass, one of those glasses containers that then it gives you the different measurements. But this is what I've got, which is from my orange juice maker, that it has as well written here the mils. So I'm gonna follow this measurement. I should have had this ready, sorry. Yeah.
Do we have any questions?
250 mils I pour here, yeah? But now you see, this is why this is not science and this is not general for everything. I use the 250 with 50 grams, which is the standard finish. It's not really fully covered. Maybe when it goes down, maybe if I break it down more mash, it would have maybe been covered. But because it is not covered, what I'm gonna do, and it's in the books as well, that sometimes you need to pour a little bit more to cover the thing. So for my taste, I'm gonna fully cover this. I will probably use half a liter.
When doing the cold method as she's doing, just make sure that your herb is completely covered by the oil. I know the visibility in terms of what Arantza is doing is not quite clear, but ideally you would want to the herb to be completely covered by the oil, because if it's not completely covered by the oil, then the molting process starts. So your herb needs to be under the oil by at least 2 or 3 fingers, and you need to constantly check, because some herbs, they tend to absorb the oil, particularly if you're working with root herbs, like where you're working with the herb which is the extract, where you extracted the root. It may absorb some of your oil, so therefore you need to check whether the herb is still covered by at least 3 fingers or two fingers. And once in a while you need to shake it, you know, just to it rejuvenates the herb, and it helps with the maturity process as well.
So I don't know if you can see, this thing will float, and eventually when it gets fully wet with the oil, it will go to the bottom. It's like when you make a tea with your herbs. At first they kind of float, and then after 5-10 minutes they will all go down to the bottom of your cup. So eventually this will go to the bottom, like the examples that I have shown you. But because now I need to make sure that there is no material outside of my solvent, because then is when it can get bad, even though it's dry. But when it's wet and then it goes out, and then the oxygen, and then there is like, then it's easy that it gets moldy, or So what I'm gonna use, something to push it down. So I'm gonna use this paper that is, sorry, it wasn't in the list because I didn't think about it. I saw in one of my things I didn't have it, and I thought I might not need it. This is the paper that you use in your trays when you bake a cake. So I will put it here, and then I'm gonna use, you need to use something that will pressure down what's in your what's in your pressure down the things, you know, the herbs, the material, in this case, the cayenne pepper. So I will put maybe 3 nuts with the raw, you know, I will use almonds. There is a lot of almonds where I live. It's all almond trees and cherry trees as well. So you see, you understand what I do? I'm gonna close our mix, our cold. I mash, I break the material. In this case, the cayenne. I would not do that with the herbs. You see, with the herbs, I will not break it like this. I break it, we pour the oil to make sure that it's covered with the oil. And then we're gonna close it because I want the whole material to be in touch inside the oil. I'm gonna make sure that something pushes it back a little bit. So I use this paper, so whatever I use is not in contact with the oil. I put the paper with 3 almonds. You can use maybe a stone or something that you have to keep down. And then I'm gonna close it. So inside, the thing is pushing down and so nothing is going really outside of the oil. This eventually will go to the bottom. And then we need to shake it every day if we remember. That's the idea. But if you don't remember every day, it's okay. Just do it whenever you can, whenever you remember. You shake it because that's what happens. It gets, everything gets to the bottom. A few of them are, you know, so you shake them. So now we imagine, then we're gonna start, we're gonna write down, for example, because I use paper, I'm gonna see if I can write it down in the paper. Look, the ideal is something, look what I normally use. You know that sellotape, you know the sellotape that is like paper? You know this one that sometimes you use when you're gonna paint something? Because it's easy to write down in this thing. So I normally stick a little bit and then I write down the dates, like the dates. When do I put it on? This was in the 24th of August. Cayenne and sunflower oil. It should be, the minimum should be ready by October, it says. Because I kept it October, November, December. I kept it longer. So it's supposed to be strong. As well, because as I can see, well, this was a small little proportions. So the one that we make it, we write down that today is what day? The 20th?
20th of December. Please do remember that it's very important that you write this down. All the ingredients that you put down, it is for your safety and the safety of those that you live with. It's very important that you write the date, when it was prepared, as well as the ingredients that are inside. And because it may happen that you probably have a guest or somebody that comes in, or maybe a friend asks you for a bit of your herb, and it might turn out that they're actually allergic to sunflower. And if you've forgotten which type of oil you've used, you've just you've just given somebody something that they're actually allergic to. And if you used almonds as to push the herbs down, you need to also write that down for those who are actually allergic to nuts, so that you don't expose them to things that they're actually allergic to. It's very important for your safety and the safety of those you live with to write down the date as well as the ingredients, all of the ingredients.
Thank you, Sister Nelisiwe, because you mentioned something I never thought about it. You know, the nuts allergy, because I use the nuts. It's true that it's not in contact, but it still is something. Thank you, because I never thought about that.
Anyway, I'm allergic to nuts, so I pick these things up very quickly.
The cat fighting here, kind of. Sorry, I'm gonna have no, I'm not gonna open the cat. Listen, so now what I'm gonna do, I write it down. I will do it properly later because in these papers you cannot really write down. And it's really, really important. You know how many times I never write down the thing? And then I'm like, I'm gonna remember. And then later on, yes, you smell, you tell, but no, it's not right. You have to write down You think because you won't remember in a month or in 2 months time, even though you think you're gonna remember, you won't. Then I studied in the darkness. I like in the darkness. There is people who does it in the sun, but then I was meditating as well. In the sun? Why in the sun? I don't like it, the idea of the sun hitting the thing, but as well because low heat helps for the oil, because the oil in its own is not the best solvent. So it will improve it, that you leave it for a very long time, that you shake it and everything is in contact, and the low heat. So the sun, that's the low heat. I follow an ingredient, a recipe to make Hypericum flower. Look the color of this oil. You know the Hypericum flower is beautiful flower, little flower, yellow with 5 petals, and it's, you know why it gives this color? Because when you picked it, you know, every morning in the late spring, begin in June in here. That is the beginning of the summer. Yeah, in June you go to pick the flowers, and when you pick the flowers, then the whole finger is like you know when a pen it breaks down and it keeps the ink in your finger. So the whole ink of the flower, and then it gives this red oil. Amazing for burn, which is amazing for burn and amazing for a lot of things actually, and for eating as well, because the Hypericum as well is very good for anxiety, for depression. But I use it for the skin, for burn, for scars, and for women it's a very nice oil to use in your body for being more sensitive in your body, in the sense of the touching. You see, Hypericum is a nice herb, nice flowers, strictly. Actually, this year was the very first time I collected. I wasn't really familiar, but here everybody, Hypericum. And I know that in Ireland, I don't know if still, but at some time they illegalized the Hypericum teas or the Hypericum tablets for depression. I guess because they work so well, you know, that it will be the competition for the pharmaceutical shit. So
it's the same story with cannabis.
Yeah, we can talk so many things, but we here now, we all aware of these things, and those who are not aware and want to look, whoever wants to know, if they research, if people, you can find it. You need to be very aware of not be distracted with a lot of noise, because there's a lot of noise, so you cannot find. You know what happened? The knowledge is what the system of Babylon. The knowledge is distributed, is scattered everywhere, so nobody can have the full picture, the full knowledge. So, and they keep
having these sessions.
They know little here, little there. But people who knows about this, they know nothing about this other thing, so they cannot connect the thing. You see. But anyways, we have studied this thing for 40 days. They say 50 days minimum. I would say 40 days minimum. But if you're in a hurry, use it. But then do what I do. Use it, but keep it. Use whatever you need, and then keep it. Make sure it doesn't get mold. Make sure it doesn't get, because you're extracting oil, so there is less oil, and maybe you want to make sure that your material doesn't get, your herbs doesn't get outside of the oil. So now we're gonna, after 40 days, we have our oil. This one, where can we do it? We're gonna do it in this one, because it's the same container, same type of container. This is, I like, you know, I reuse all the glass container, but not all of them. I reuse, this is because this is the way I like it. I like the ones that we have big, open, the big mouth, the big thing, because those ones that are really small, then it's difficult to, so I like the ones with the big ones. I bought actually.
And you also don't need to use a funnel, you know? When you use those ones, you also don't need to use a funnel, you know? As opposed to the ones which have a small mouth.
Yeah, for me it's easier then to handle and to use it. But you can use anything you have. It's ideal glass. It's ideal if you have it. I won't use this because I won't get a lot of quantity to fill it. So maybe with the one that we make today, I will have. And you know what I'm gonna do? Because I use a lot of more oil, I'm gonna wait for everything to go to the bottom. And then maybe I'm gonna add more. And I'm gonna wait a little bit to maybe get to the bottom. Once I read something like that as well, so I'm sure it's not wrong to do that. And then
It's also not wrong to change the herbs, to strain and change the herbs. It depends on actually what you want to achieve. I know that a lot of when I use my processes, a lot of the time after the 40 days, the initial waiting period, or 2 weeks, I change the herb. I remove the herb and put new herbs inside, and then I start the process over again. It makes the herb very, very potent. It's yeah, that's just me. Um, but as Arantza said, sometimes you just need to follow your heart with practicing caution, at the same time.
so we need something to sip to separate the oil with the material, with the cayenne pepper. I use when it's big quantities. I use the big ones. But because I'm gonna do the small one, I got this little one from a tea bowl that it broke. So I find that is perfect for this thing now. So we're gonna. I'm gonna clear up a bit here so you can see. Bueno, then we're gonna use a spoon.
Can you please bring it a bit closer to you so that it's in camera view? The bottle needs to come closer to you. Yes, that's perfect.
You see, I'm gonna try to first the oil. You see the color, the oil is more reddish than like the Imphepho oil that we're gonna get from there. It's gonna be yellowish. You see, but the coconut oil and the shea butter were white, eh? So that's what you get, you subtract from.
Mm. Do we have any questions from the attendees? Because Arantza's almost done with her process right now because she's doing like, this is the extraction. This is when you separate the herb, and this is after you've waited for the first 40 days initial waiting period, or if you've waited for your first 2 weeks. Does anybody have any questions from the hot process as well as the cold process? Do we have any questions?
So we press with this one, doesn't really go much when you press, but when you use herbs, you will be amazed of how much you still get of the oil when you squeeze the herb.
Mm. It's very helpful that you actually squeeze the herb out. What you can use is, you can also use like an old curtain like material, obviously sterilizing it before using it. And you can really put the herb, if you don't have the current tool that Arantza is using, you can use an old curtain, sterilizing it, and just really putting it over the bottle, and then just putting it there. And then when it comes to squeezing, you just really squeeze it out and make sure that you get all the properties that have been sucked in by the herb, but just really getting everything, all the nourish, everything out.
But be aware that we are working here with oil. So maybe, me, for example, when I use a different solvent, what I use is those bags made with hemp. I bought it to make milk, vegetable milk, but I actually use it for a lot of things. And for strain things like that you have to press. But when you work with oil, And if you use a material that is not, it's gonna be a lot of, it's not gonna be so easy. Because at first I tried to use, you know what I use a lot as well, and you can still do it, but it takes a long time to go through. The paper bags for the filtered coffee machines that you buy the little packet is affordable. So I use it. I used to use it. But I use it like for dinner for other things because I don't have the coffee machine, but I use it for that. But with the oil, really, in ShopRite you can buy it and it's not an expensive thing. And most of the people have it in their houses. One of these.
Yes, yes.
Most of it. It's a good investment, I would say. But for example, for things that you like, for example, if you work with kombucha, with kefir, and those things that are alive, they don't like the metal. So then you use what you say. Oh, that's what I do. Yeah, talking about my own.
I was just saying for those who don't have, for those who don't have it currently available, it does tend to slow down the extraction process, but do not despair. You can still extract even if you don't have. Yeah,
even if you have nothing, because even with the spoon, just make sure that doesn't, like, for example, a little piece went in, but I take it out. Just make sure that there is no material in your final oil. You see how red it is. You feel the heat when you put it in your skin and you wrap it. Important that you don't use an extra heat when you use this. Like, for example, you don't put your ointment or the oil and then put like a hot water bottle in the thing where you put it. No, because it's going to be too much. No, it's not advised. It's going to burn you. Then it's not advised. I haven't done it, so I cannot tell you exactly what you feel. But I can imagine because sometimes when I use this thing, even you don't use it in open wounds. Not oils are used in open wounds, and or in your eyes, your sensitive. For your sensitive areas, you need to make very mild. For example, you see in the tablet that we see, the very mild, even milder than that, or very mild percentage for when you work for creams or oils that you're going to use in your face, especially for the ones that you're going to use around your eyes. I would not use this for my face. I think it would burn me out and it will make me red.
So please do be careful. Use this oil because it's very potent. You don't really need to use a lot for it to actually work. Small quantities is fine. And also, what I wanted to highlight, also something that you need to remember is that when you use this oil, remember to wash your hands, because you will forget and you'll put your fingers in your eyes and everything like that. So you need to remember to wash your hands.
Yeah. So we did the thing, and this made me realize that I'm not a well-organized person lately. I'm gonna close it. I take the sticker that I had before. I'm using the same lid because it's exactly the same container type, and because I didn't prepare me one. And so now I'm gonna write important. We say as well. I'm gonna write basic. Is Cayenne plus sunflower. What now is the 20th of the 12th of the 20th. And then I'm gonna put this aside, the time of maceration. How long did I have it in the oil? And I say this was made on the 24th of August, and today is the 20th of December. So agosto, septiembre, octubre, November, December, 4 months. 4 months maduration. Like the wine, when they put it in the oak barrels and things like that.
Date of preparation, date of extraction,
of storage.
In the ingredients. This is a very important process. I think I highlighted earlier that it's very important for your safety, the safety of the people that you live with, and yeah.
I think it's so good that when you do these things as well, things don't happen the way you expected. Because then it shows you the struggle ways that you cannot find in your elaboration. Because you work with oil and everything gets oily, nothing is gonna stick. So I wrote the paper and I'm gonna stick it, but it's not gonna stick. So later on, I'm gonna clean well this, and again, I'm gonna find my this, or when I clean it properly, the sticker will stick, and I will make sure it is labeled. But it is labeled now.
So there was a question where somebody asked, will it be better to wear gloves with when working with Cayenne paper? Uh, I'll give Arantza an opportunity to respond, but the initial response would be, this is
It's
me
good
speaking as
that
a healer.
your
You want
hand
to, yeah. Sorry, you can continue, Arantza.
to make sure there is water in our.
Oh, okay. So while Arantza's checking on the pot, what as a healer, this is me speaking as a healer, is that it's if where you can use your hands. Your hand, there is hekao in your hands. Your hands have magic, and you do not really want to use gloves where you really you can just wash your hands unless the herb that you're working with, it's very toxic for you to, or you can't handle it with your hands. um, then in that instance where it will be dangerous for your safety for you to handle it with your hand. And I'm gonna make mint as an example where it's put into alcohol, it will burn your skin. So you do not want to handle it with what's this, with your bare hands, unless it's for safety reasons like that. Then I would advise you to not use any gloves. There is power and energy in your hands. I will allow Arantza. Arantza, can you please respond to the question?
Very much agree with you. I very much agree. I like to use my bare hands as much as I can. But for example, with cayenne oil, I'm all right. Because as well, it's true that in your hands are very sensitive, but for me, my hands are quite pure, yeah? It doesn't, but it's true, sometimes you need to, because for example, the last time I was in South Africa, I made some alcohol extraction with wild garlic, yeah? So I grate the garlic without gloves or anything. And after a few days, or maybe after what, I see my nails are getting loose, and I'm losing all the skin, and my nails are getting loose, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna lose my nails. And then I go, oh, the wild garlic, I forgot. And it's strong. And I maybe grate only like, I don't remember, 4 or 5 garlics or less even maybe. And I had a reaction. It burned me. It actually it separated my nails from my flesh in my fingers. So you need to be aware. You need to know yourself if you are delicate, if you are not used to it, if you don't know. But as well, for example, if you go to the mountain and get something, here in the hills there is a lot of thorns, like creepy crawly thorns, liana. So sometimes, oh, I see a herb and I'm gonna take it, and no, it scratches everywhere around. So I learned to use a little bit of very thin leather gloves when I go outside. But then, for example, when I'm at home, I need to touch the hair without the gloves. I need that connection. You know, when I was saying about the intellectual knowledge, you can get intellectual knowledge in the books, the names, monoterpenos, triterpenos, a lot of things, and you know and try to memorize. But it is actually when you work with them. Oh, for me, it was like that. Oh, I used to, because it was Craig, my daughter's father, who was, after being a sackcloth, I met him just when he came out of the sackcloth with the herbs. I met him because I bought Imphepho and Puhu from the brother. And that's how I got involved, and then a lot of things. But it was only after years that I helped him. On the first little shop that we have, I was the one writing the little notes with the name of the herbs. And there was a lot of from the book, from this book, you know. Okay, that was my first closer contact besides using them. But it was really the knowledge, and when I felt confident to maybe be at the shop and people come and I just help them, like, and and I help them with the herbs. It was when I started to helping in processing the herbs, like washing them, and now I make them dry, and I separate the sticks, and I prepare it for packaging, and that's when I start being like really confident of being connected and the knowledge, because and the things that you need to understand and to connect with the personality of the herb. That's what I try to do. You connect with the plant, and you ask for the plant to reveal to yourself, and then it's mystic, because whenever you go to the hills, to the creation, you will see that herb or that flower or that plant even from the side of your eye. Even when you're not really looking, you're just walking, there she is. It's like calling you, it's like you make the connection. So for me, that's my goal of the knowledge, of by experiencing. Yes, I use the books, and they are very good tools, but
the experience and the also helps as well. I understand what you mean completely. As you said, you follow. Sometimes it just helps when you follow your heart and you listen to your spirit guides and your ancestors when you're preparing these things, because they are always with us and they're always guiding us, but also practicing caution where it is required. So it's your heart and a little bit of your brain in there. So with that being said, Arantza, is there any because I think we've reached the last, so we need to go and check in the kitchen
we
and
need
then we
to go
wrap up
and
the session.
we finalize, because what time is it now? I don't have control of the time at all.
It's 12 SA time, and I think it's for you. It should be 11:30 or 11.
Go work. So I'm gonna show you the last. I'm gonna leave the oil a little bit longer up until the time I go work, because I want to extract them more. But we're gonna see how it is. We're gonna explain the same thing as we did here to drain the herbs and the oils. We're gonna do it again with this, and with this. I will use this because see, it has the shape for the liquid.
Mm.
My goal is to get a glass one like this, but not yet. So we're gonna do this, we're gonna drain it, we're gonna press nice, because with the Imphepho, it gets a lot of oil in the hair.
Sucks it in.
And we press it, we press it, we press. We get all the oil, and then we're gonna, I reuse the very same oils that
Maybe we can use like a little bit just to demonstrate, extract a little bit just to demonstrate. And
So I'm gonna bring it from the kitchen, okay?
okay. Please be careful when you're doing this because it's very hot. Oil will like do a lot more damage than water on your skin. I'm sure everybody's aware. So when you do this, you'd want to be very careful. And another note, it's much easier to extract the oil when it is still hot from the herbs, as opposed to you waiting for the oil to cool down, because it's I'm not really sure about the science behind, but all I know is that it's easier to extract the oil from the herb when it's still hot.
You know why? Because when the oil is hot, it gets more liquid.
Oh yes.
Don't you know when you pour the oil in the pan, once the oil gets hot, it's easier to wet the whole pan? But
It becomes thinner.
It takes time for the oil to go. The same way the coconut oil in the cold, it gets solid, and with the warm, it gets. So definitely, if you use coconut oil, you want to do it. You want to do it like that. So what we're gonna do, we don't want to spill anything. I'm gonna do it like this, or not, because it's very full. So how many grams we use here? 30, we say.
We use 40.
So the oil, You press, look all the oil.
Mm.
When we press, a lot of oil comes, and the color and the scent and the smell is already beautiful. I love to use this oil, and my daughter uses it as well. So when I take her clothing and I want to smell it and see if it's dirty, to wash it or no, and I smell it and I'm like, no, I love it.
I also love the smell of Imphepho, you know. Imphepho is very good into it's a divine herb indeed. And just as a side note, besides the oil, it also helps with opening up your throat chakra if you drink it as a tea. It helps, yeah, open up your throat chakra.
And I didn't mention, but the South African Imphepho, I find it a beautiful herb for women. Because me, I personally use it. For example, it helps you to bring your menstruation. You see,
Mm.
but not because that nothing, just because it really helps you to regulate, I think, your hormonal cycle or something. And then it's a painkiller. So if you have painful cycles, cycles,
Yes,
menstruation,
cycles.
yeah, it's a beautiful herb to drink.
So
So then,
please take note that she's only doing this for demonstration purposes, and you will need to put the herb on the stove for a much longer period to be able to extract. Yes.
that's why
So
I'm
it-
gonna put this
yeah.
thing back.
So that's how you extract, and you just put pressure on top of the herb in order to extract all the healing properties and all the oil that has been sucked in by the herb. And I did mention earlier that some herbs tend to suck a lot of oil, like when you're working with roots and when you're working with the bark, it does tend to suck a lot of oil inside. So you would therefore want to really put some pressure onto that and really strain it out. So, beloveds, we are wrapping up right now. We have almost come to the end of the session. Um, so, Arantza, where can people find you if they want to talk to you?
So those who are in our in the Ikhambi Natural Healing group, WhatsApp group, I'm available there.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, and then my WhatsApp, I don't know, my email. I'm not really like a media person. I'm not in Instagram. I have a WhatsApp that I used to use a lot when I was in South Africa, but I don't, I actually use it to scroll and to see my people that I don't see. So I kind of know about, oh, this one, but I don't keep in touch. I'm terrible because I don't keep in touch. I mean, when I see whoever I see that is my people, no matter how long it has passed, a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. You are still have the connection. But anyways, I go to the branches of things. But you can keep my email address. You can as well get. Maybe you can share it somehow in the thingy and the group and
So I'll tell you what, for security purposes, what this is what we're gonna do. So Arantza is not a very active person in terms of social media. You will not find Arantza on any social medias except for Facebook. If you find a person who claims that they're Arantza Aguilera on Facebook, it is not this Arantza. Just know that off the bat, it's not this Arantza. Arantza is only on Facebook. So if you want to catch Arantza, please do get hold of her on Facebook. But if you do fail, if you can't find her, please do contact us on our social media pages, which is Ikhambi Natural Healing on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. We will pass the message on. Just inbox. You can inbox us privately, or you can just send a message on our wall, and then we will pass the message on. To Arantza. Arantza is part of the Healer Circle in the Natural Healing WhatsApp group that we have, where we interact as healers. But in essence, you cannot find Arantza on social media except for Facebook. But with that being said, do please check out our previous videos. Do please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, as well as on YouTube, and check out if you want to know more properties about Imphepho, the herb that we just discussed now. We did break down cayenne pepper as well in our earlier sessions. So you can check out those videos where you can learn a bit about where those herbs belong in terms of the family and what kind of what's the side effects these herbs do have, and just make sure that you're not allergic to any of the herbs that have been used here for safety purposes. And yeah, and also I wanted us to just, just take it all in, and just give our love and thank you to Sister Arantza for sharing this knowledge with us. God bless you. We much appreciate it. Thank you so much, sister.
Thanks. And yes, like you say, actually to contact me is not me, it's I, is not is Ikhambi Natural Healing. That's why I'm here. It's through I, and it's the work in togetherness, So
Yes.
so yeah, anything through Ikhambi Natural Healing, which is
Thank you so much.
of spreading, and empower people, So good. And I'm gonna just quickly before I say goodbye, because I need to get ready to go work. And I'm gonna give a quick verse. That's that one that I wrote, and I wrote it for the inspiration was here for Ikhambi Natural Healing, and it says, "Yo soy mujer algarrobo, soy mujer olivo, soy mujer ruda, soy mujer gordolobo, romero, salvia, soy mujer de tierra, mujer de llanto, mujer de vientre que palpita. Soy recién nacido, soy la hermana, soy la madre, soy la hermana, soy la amiga leal, soy la compañera, soy la amante. Soy la sabia que recorre todo lo que es verde. Soy mujer matriz, mujer heredera."
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. For those who didn't catch the English translation of what she just said, it's a very beautiful piece. It is so great to hear it directly from you. I don't speak Spanish, but I can really feel what you're saying. So it says, I am a carob tree woman. I am an olive tree, rue, white horehound, mullein, and rosemary woman. I am a woman made of earth, tears and throbbing womb. I am a newborn, the sister and the mother. I am the loyal friend, partner and lover. I am sap that flows in all that is green. I am womb men of herbs. Thank you so much, Sister Arantza. Please do join us on the third, where we will be still talking about death and rebirth in our Phoenix Rising series, where we celebrate Neptet. Thank you, everybody, for holding space with that. Thank you, Arantza, for sharing the much needed knowledge in terms of our education. Love and light, beloveds.
Love it.